Hello and welcome to our second report of the Grand Boucle Feminine, the women's version of the Tour de France. It's Hugh Porter here to guide you through the next 7 days. In warm conditions, marked contrast to the ascent in the rain up the Tourmalet, the riders set off on stage 8A from Rocamadour to Sansac de Momies, a distance of 84.6 kilometers. And the crowds were out again in their hundreds along the way to cheer the riders, because this race had captured the imagination of the French crowd, being covered live on television every day. Zabarova, the Olympic time trial champion at the head of affairs there, took flight in the closing stages, and it was Zabarova that punched the air with delight, coming over the line to clinch the stage. Rapid sprint for second behind, and it was Rocca that got second from the Edil Savino team. But the stage belonged to this woman here, Zabarova, and the yellow jersey remained with Sommariba. And so stage 8B rolled underway, 59.7 kilometers. This was the day after the fearsome Tourmalet stage, and when you have a split day, it's always very, very demanding indeed. Well, with 1 kilometer to go, the field were looking for the finish, and in particular, Edita Pukinskaita, the world champion. And Pukinskaita was showing no allegiance to her team leader, Sommariba, from Spain in the yellow jersey, and Pukinskaita took her stage victory, second of the Tour, as the rest came up to the line. Slisareva was second, and Polak Vachute third. Yellow still remained with Sommariba, but her lead had now been cut back to 11 seconds. And it was a happy birthday start for Valentina Pulkanova, the woman that finished second in this race in 1999 at the start of the stage from Languec to Vernou et Vivarais, a distance of 115.4 kilometers. A hilly stage, and one that would sort one or two of the riders out. Zabarova was the early attacker, so the stage victory obviously gave her a lot of confidence, and she was quickly trying to get rid of the rest of the field. So a little group eventually formed at the front, some 4 strong, but at the back it was a problem for the yellow jersey. Sommariba, with a mechanical fault, her teammate gave her bike, and she was underway again. That was Veronesi, her teammate, and quickly Sommariba joined the back, but at the front it was Polak Vachute that took the stage from Aka Duo Olorina. You see that the rest coming in for the line, and the situation, well, no change. There we are, the victor holding high the flowers, but the yellow jersey staying still with Sommariba. So the crowd's enjoying the action, and Sommariba nursing that graze that she incurred from the collision when she fell with Deby. So the next stage, stage 10, took the riders up to the mountain station of Vaujany, and 1 or 2 riders were chancing their arm early on to try and get clear, and right at the head there was Zocca trying to take the race away from the rest, but the field were vigilant behind, including the yellow jersey. Sommariba already with a win in the Tour of Italy this year. In fact, she's won it twice, and was looking to try and add the race here, the Grand Boucle, to those victories in the Giro. In the closing stages, it was Deby in the King of the Mountains jersey, riding on the French national team, who'd already won a stage earlier in the Tour, stage 1B, that left the rest, and she was delighted, punching the air and really showing her pleasure at clinching the stage. Deby of the French national team then winning that stage, but yellow still to Sommariba, and she'd increased her lead over the world champion Pukinskaita to 27 seconds. So on to the next stage, the race of truth, 25.9 kilometers, Saint-Vallier to Monceau-les-Mines, the time trial. Pan flat this course, just over 15 miles. The Olympic champion riding for the Aka du Olorina team, obviously reveling in this test against the clock. She won the Olympic gold medal in Atlanta, outpacing Jenny Longo on that occasion. And at one point, it was feared that Zabarova would not be able to compete again this season after July, when she had a nasty tumble landing on her head, but she recovered well and has come in there strongly at the end of that time trial. Now she has to wait and see what the yellow jersey does, because Zabarova could well win her second stage here. Here comes the yellow jersey, Samariba. Samariba won the first time trial earlier in the tour. In fact, it was in the first week. So it's a long haul up to the finish, a real test. After some of the flatter roads and on the profile in the race manual, it shows this as pan flat, but the finish was far from that. Samariba looked for the line, came in 14 seconds slower than Zabarova. So Zabarova, with that ride at 43.818 kilometers an hour, won her second stage, but Samariba stayed in yellow. Her overall lead over Pukinskaita now 45 seconds. So the race moved on to stage 12, and the King of the Mountains and the yellow jersey a little bit of time at the start to pass a few pleasantries. That was Samariba and Debouy, the King of the Mountains. So this stage, Mervans to Montaliat, 91 kilometers. And this is right down on the Swiss border, near to Neuchâtel. So one or two riders had been on the attack in the early stages, rather eager to try and clinch a stage victory. But Roca, number 5, was attacking in the closing stages, hoping to clinch a stage victory. Lungsog, also of Team Alaverti, number 44, was also there at the head of affairs. Fast-moving field on this 91-kilometer stage, but Roca in the closing stages still tried to get away, but she was being policed and eventually dropped by the rider we're looking at here, and this is Capellotto. Capellotto going strongly and riding on the Gas Sport team, and it was Capellotto that came in to take the stage victory. Capellotto, the only Italian ever to win the Women's World Road Race Championships, and she celebrated there. That's her second stage victory for the team. Prenelato winning the first stage for the Gas team earlier in the race. So smiles all round for the Gas Sport team stage winner, Alessandra Capellotto, still in yellow. Johan Samariba from Team Alfa Lum. No change in the top overall positions, 45 seconds. Samariba leads the world champion, Pukinskaita, both from the same Alfa Lum team. So on to stage 13, from Montbéliard to Vieira-de-Mer-les-Bresse. And let me tell you that the race, which started in 1984, is looking set for a Spanish victory, and this would be the first victory for Spain. Luparini of Italy, 3 victories back-to-back. Jenny Longo also had 3 victories back-to-back. But Samariba, with her consistency, and once she'd rid herself of the challenge of her teammate, the world champion Pukinskaita, then it seemed all set, didn't it, that Samariba would be the one that would emerge as the winner. The strong riders, of course, coming through all the time. King of the Mountains here, Debouy and Samariba together, as the race once again gets towards the closing stages. Under the 1 kilometer to go. Riders gathering themselves for the finish here, and it's Veronesi of Team Alfa Lum taking that, and that was the 5th stage winner for the Alfa Lum squad. She beat Polek Virtute to the line, and the rest, well, all fragmented, were very, very happy to see the line at the end of stage 13. So Veronesi from Team Alfa Lum, the winner of the stage, but in yellow with 1 stage to go, Samariba from Team Alfa Lum. We'll take a short break. Coverage here of Le Grand Boucle, and the competitors celebrating with a well-earned glass of champagne. Hardly surprising, they've been out riding now for almost 2 weeks in this Grand Boucle race that started in Milan with a short 6-kilometer team time trial, and it's crisscrossed France, having raced through the Massif Central, the Pyrenees. It's touched on the Alps, and now they're all ready to start the final leg that'll bring them into the heart of Paris. It's just over 60 miles, this final stage, 102 kilometers, starting from Péraly in the northwest of Paris, and it will eventually come down into the city to complete 6 7-kilometer finishing loops. So the yellow jersey there, Somariba, showing the scars of battle. She's been on the floor a couple of times. She collided with Debris of France on 2 occasions, and there is Debris, the king of the mountains. She's in a good mood, eh? And she's, I think, already thinking about a celebratory meal this evening after the conclusion of this final stage. So 1 or 2 big riders have fallen by the wayside in this race. They've climbed off along the way, and in fact there's 72 left out of the original 119, so it certainly has taken its toll. An event which started back in 1984. Jenny Longo, as I said earlier in my report on the stages that have taken place, a winner on 3 occasions, and Luperini also a winner on 3 occasions, and second on another one as well. Luperini also winner of the Giro d'Italia for women on 3 occasions. But there's a good mood here. Spirits are high as the riders pedal their way, almost in a ceremonial fashion, to the finishing circuits in Paris. But of course it's a great honour to win that final stage, and they'll be out there to try and bolt the stage onto the victories already achieved by the teams. Alpha Lum so far have had 5 stage victories. Somariba has won 2, Pukinskaita has won 2, and Veronesi has clinched 1. The Akaduo Lorena team, they've also had 3 stage victories. Zabarova, Polak Virtute, and Zabarova won the 2nd stage in the time trial as well. The French national team, both their stages have been won by Debis, the leader on the King of the Mountains. Germany, well, they just tied it up 1 stage, stage 5A. It was Petra Rosner who won the Olympic individual pursuit title in Barcelona back in 1992. Rosner, a fine road sprinter, and she'll be one to look out for in the Olympic Games in Sydney. But Petra Rosner has climbed off and retired. There's been 1 stage victory for GS Edil Savino, and that was won by Svetlana Bubenkova. The Gasport team, they've had 2 stage victories, so they'll be looking for a 3rd today. The 2 has been Gabriella Penolato of Italy and Alessandra Capellotto. The Netherlands have won a couple of stages. They started off very, very strong when the race opened up in Milan. They won the team time trial, and then Miriam Melchers won stage 2, but Melchers has also left the race. So we have an attack developing here. One of the Dutch survivors of the race trying to go away. This is Grimberg, Arenda Grimberg. They've lost 2 of their original team, so just 5 left. A little bit of caution being shown here on these cobbles as the lead rider swings onto the finishing circuit. Those cobbles can be a little bit greasy. There has been quite a bit of rain actually in Paris today, and if you just get the wrong angle hitting that surface, then of course you can find yourself going down very, very easy. But women's cycling really has become bigger and bigger worldwide. I must admit the following for this race has been quite staggering. This is the 3rd major tour. There's been the Giro, won by Somariba. There's been the Hewlett-Packard 11-day race in the United States of America. That was won by the Aussie Anna Wilson. Wilson, of course, not riding this event, but Wilson will be another big favourite to look out for when they compete in Sydney in the Olympic Games. The finish actually is in the Avenue Floche, which is not too far from the Arc de Triomphe. And it's 102 kilometres, as I said a little earlier, this final stage. So she's persisting with this at the moment, isn't she? This is Grimberg. Manager of the Dutch team is that great sprinter, former pro Jan Paul van Poppel. But I can't see her lead remaining for long. In fact, she's going to get company. In fact, riders already starting to come up here on this first of the finishing circuits. You can see the pools on the side of the road. That confirms my earlier comment about the heavy rain that we've been having in Paris during the afternoon. And now a little group beginning to form at the front. There's the Italian champion just on the far side, trying to slip away. She's had a stage victory as well in this tour. I think they're all pretty vigilant, aren't they? As one rider goes, the next one is marked out immediately. And there is the world champion on the far side, Pukinskaita, the teammate of Somariba. Saying a little earlier, when they went to the summit of the Tourmalet, Pukinskaita was hanging on to Somariba. The yellow jersey, Somariba, was far the stronger, but she was having to ride to orders being given by the manager, and she had to get waiting for Pukinskaita. And at the end, Pukinskaita was given the honour of winning the stage at the summit of the Tourmalet. But there, Pukinskaita said to Somariba, "You are the stronger, you will now be the team leader." But then, of course, a couple of stages later, what did she do? The world champion, she nipped off down the road, took 5 more seconds out of Somariba and closed the gap down to 11 seconds. So that really didn't underline team loyalty. But since then, Somariba has stolen a few seconds here and there, and particularly in the time trial, and the gap is now pegged at 45 seconds. A lot of these riders will be travelling down to Sydney to ride in the Olympic Games road race on a circuit that's undulating, and the field will be not too dissimilar to the size that we have left here at the moment, all coming back together on this finishing series of 7-kilometre finishing loops in the heart of Paris. We'll take another short break. Continued coverage here of the Grand Boucle Féminine, the women's version of the Tour de France. Field all still together, but several riders trying to get clear. But at the moment, each move has been wiped away as they've all come back together. The survivors here in the Grand Boucle, 75 then. Set off at the start here of this final stage, and once again we see that a little group is trying to go away. But the thing is, when you're riding on a course such as this that's so flat and fast, to get clear, well, you're going to need very, very strong legs and a lot of speed. And you see the riders at the back here, they can have quite a comfortable trip around the finishing loops until we come to the sprint at the end. And then one or two of the sprinters, of course, will be licking their lips at the thought of unloading to try and snatch another stage victory. So Holland coming through here to the front. One of our Australian competitors just lying second position there as well. Quite a few teams have certainly lost a lot of the members of their squads, and looking down my start list here, I can't see one team that is complete that set off. Some are very, very depleted. The team of Australia have only got 3 left. They've got Hemsley, Tadic and Wright of the original 7. The rest have fallen by the wayside. The United States of America team, well, they're down to just 3 as well. They've got Demet, Ruthven and Smith. The German squad, well, they've lost Petra Rosner and Mandy Hempel. Still there in the main field is Judith Arndt, and Arndt will be one of the strong contenders for Germany in the individual pursuit, the former world pursuit champion. She's in the group there. Now another attack developing. This is what it's all about, isn't it? Immediately you see there's a reaction. Holland trying to come across the gap. Now trying to bridge the gap there. It is Holland, as I said, number 67. That's Van Schepingen. Van Schepingen now chasing down the rider that made the move, and that's Pregnolato from Gasport Team Italy. Brignolato, the Italian champion. Now then, a handy little tandem of riders here, riding on the gas sport team, Brignolato. Now then, if they can work together, maybe they can start to stretch the rest out. Handy little gap, so that's useful. That is useful. Now they need to start to work well together and take their turns evenly. It will be about 150, 200 metres, wouldn't it? So it's a good move. Two interesting nations that are going to be figuring pretty strongly when the Olympic Games unfold down there in Sydney, and then they'll be back to Plouay for the World Championships, and that's going to be a real tough course as well. Brignolato at the back. Brignolato won stage 3 actually for the gas sport team, and Alexander Capellotto won stage 12, so if they could clinch this, they could end up this Grand Boucle with 3 stage victories. But riders on the front are not happy with the escapees, and they're trying to lift the tempo, turning the screw all the time. You can see the field fragmenting fractionally at the front. That's always a sign, of course, that the pace is being lifted. French national team taking closer order. It's the park and wooded area not far from the Bois de Boulogne. Excellent roads, nice and wide, very good for racing. And you can see that the leaders look as though they're going to be brought back. This is the chasing duo trying to get across the gap. So that's Beltman from the Netherlands as well. So the group is swelling all the time here. Italian champion at the back. Also in there we have Cindy Peters from the Vlaanderen 2002 team. In fact, there she is, just going through to take her turn on the front. So it's Peters on the front. 2 from Holland. That's a good move for them because they can play the old 1-2 as we get towards the end of the stage. Beltman number 63 and Van Schepingen number 67. Immediately another attack develops. They are so eager to try and win this final stage, and the rest just watch. Now then, no reaction. Now a reaction once again from the Italian champion, trying to go away. Brignolato. So these two seem to be the stronger at the moment as they once again take another left-hander. They're gaining in confidence now as the roads are drying out more. This is one of the problems when you get to the trees. The leaves tend to drop, and this is what makes it dangerous. If you touch one of those leaves, you can skid easily, and then down you go. And nobody wants to fall when they've got this far, having completed 2 weeks of racing. They want to see it through now. So that's Stayakina. That was Stayakina, number 27, at the back in the blue. Stayakina, there she is. She was 4th in the World Championships last year. Pretty handy bike rider. She was also the European Road and Time Trial Champion in '99. So she's a pretty versatile bike rider. Now then, can this group take off and leave the rest? They're messing about, aren't they? They're not working properly. You see, nobody wants to go through and swing off and the next take over. Nobody wants to get an organised working group. 2 or 3 are keen, the rest are not, and this, of course, is doomed to failure. You need to keep working, going through and off, and then once the whole group does that, then they've got a fair chance of staying away. But the way they're riding at the moment, it won't be too long before the main field are going to be linking up to them. Another attack over the far side there. A little bit like one of the gas sport team trying to go away. This might be Zocker. And if it is Zocker, it'll be number 107. Oh, we didn't quite see, did we? Or it might even have been a teammate, actually. But here is Brignolato. Just at the back of the group and looking back to see whether anybody is going to come up. Well, the King of the Mountains classification isn't going to change, is it? Because there's no mountains on this. So Séverine Debuy of France with 100 points will be the winner of that King of the Mountains competition over Edita Pukinskaite. Edita Pukinskaite, the world champion from Team Alpha Lum, and third in that classification, Rasa Polak-Virtute from Akaduo Olorina with 50 points. Now then, another attack at the front. Surely, eventually, somebody is going to succeed and get away to decide the outcome of this. Quite a few are showing the aggression to try, but the rest of the field are too vigilant, aren't they? Look, sizable field, and the pressure really isn't on at the front, because if it was really on, there'd be a long, thin line. It is thinning down a little bit, but you can see at the back they're still bunching, and the riders near the back are still getting a pretty comfortable, easy ride. Now then, one of the riders out of the Zabarova team trying to go clear here. In fact, that might well have been Zabarova. Yes, it was. It's Zuflaya Zabarova, the Olympic time trial champion. Couple of stage victories she's had. Immediately the move is marked out by Pukinskaite, the world champion. Holland again coming through. They're a powerful nation, aren't they? They started this tour in convincing fashion when they won the team time trial, finishing on the Vigorelli track in Milan. Now again she goes away. Prenelato, she really is aggressive, isn't she? Gabriella Prenelato trying to go away as they come under the 1 kilometre banner. Series of sprints, of course, on this stage for special prizes, and it is Prenelato that's gone through to take the prize on the line for that sprint. A bit of caution shown there on the left-hander as they now retrace. Totally closed roads. Good crowd. There have been good crowds following the race all the way around ever since the start. Now then, once again trying to go away. Is this attack going to succeed? Well, she's got company again. Immediately the field bridge and the move is neutralized. Akaduo Olorina, the leaders on the team competition, are also watching all the moves here as well, as we see the yellow jersey, Somariba, coming to the front. Somariba is actually married to Roman Gonzalez Ariata, who rides on the Escatel Escaida team. He's also ridden on the Banesto and Festina team, and really Somariba, what a story there. She almost never continued in her cycling career, because back in 1992 she had a real desperate back injury that almost resulted in her being in a wheelchair, but she managed to recover from that, and since that back injury back in 1992, she of course has started to carve out an incredibly impressive list of victories, with 2 wins in the women's Giro, and she's now looking like becoming the first Spaniard ever to win the Grand Boucle. She comes from, well, about 20 kilometers from Bilbao, does Somariba, as once again the Olympic time trial champion comes through. She's full of riding today, isn't she? That's Zabarova. I tell you what, if Zabarova could get clear, get the bit between her teeth, being an ace time trialer, that certainly would be a problem for the rest. They'd certainly need to be vigilant to try and get her back. Looks good, eh? Starting to get the good form ready for the time trial in Sydney. So Zabarova it is then. Second in the World Championship time trial in 98, the Olympic champion in 1996. We'll take another short break as there's just a sprinkling of rain falling here in the stage. Welcome back to the closing stages of the final stage here, the 14th leg of the Grand Boucle here in Paris, from Pirelli into the centre, closing out with the 6-7 kilometre finishing loops. On the attack, we've got here the Rasa Polak-Virtute, one of the two Lithuanian sisters. Jolanta Polak-Vačiūtė is also in the race. Jolanta is the higher placed overall. She's lying 6th. Rasa is currently lying 9th. Lithuania, arguably the strongest cycling nation. The world champion Ziliuti is not in the race here. Ziliuti, who won this event in 1999, she's decided to concentrate on the World Cup instead, and the World Cup competition will be resuming in the next couple of weeks' time. So she's decided to duck this particular tour. Ziliuti had a couple of stage victories and rode very powerfully in the 11-day tour over in the United States. So they're all looking at each other, aren't they, and waiting to see who is going to make the burst to try and get clear. If anybody can get clear, that is, with a high speed in the closing stage like this. They've been covering the circuit in excess of 40 kilometers an hour, in fact almost 42 kilometers an hour. So that's not too far short of 26 miles per hour, is it? So that's why it's so difficult to try and get away. Now another attack developing. This is the kind of action we like to see. Two riders knitting together. Now then, can they start to work and pull away from the rest of the field? Holland inevitably on the attack. They're trying to finish off exactly how they started when they won that team time trial and then tied it up at stage 2. Melchers it was that won stage 2. Now then, 4 riders starting to try and pull away here. Now this is looking a little bit more promising, isn't it? This is Hoffeld, Vera Hoffeld, number 23 there. Hoffeld riding on the Acaduo Olorina team. And up here riding for France, we've got Catherine Marcel, the former world champion. Marcel's also won the Tour de France and the Giro. She's had a pretty quiet Grand Boucle this time, but she's up here in this leading group and made the move at the right time. So good move by her. Also up there for Holland, we've got Gita Beltman. There she is, right on the front, number 63. But inevitably you see the field, well, they've not let them go, have they? It's about, what, 100 metres, I would say. That's not convincing, and I can see them being hauled back pretty soon as the speed maintained, or the speed I should say, is maintained very high around this finishing circuit, right here in the heart of this historic city of Paris. See, that little sprinkling of rain has made the top surface a little greasy, and you can see them just approaching the left and right-hander through the chicane with a certain amount of caution. But it's France at the head here with Catherine Marcel. She's a handy sprinter, this one. Just think of the fights Marcel and Longo have had over the years. I've seen Marcel up the road and Longo chase her down. I think there's any love lost between those two. There we go. I told you, didn't I? The greasy top surface. They have to be careful. You see, that's exactly what can happen. You lay the bike over just a little bit too much and down you go. Now let's hope she hasn't hurt herself too much. She's ridden a long, long way, 14 stages. She would like very much, of course, to finish this race. Certainly would. And let me tell you that in the field, we've still got the only British competitor in there, that's Sherry Pridham. Sherry Pridham has survived the whole race. She's still in the field, and that wasn't Pridham that went down, so there's a good chance that she's going to complete the Grand Boucle. Beltman still at the front. Reaction coming on the far side from Catherine Marcel. Starting to try and pull away, aren't they? Sky looks as though it's going a little grey as well. Threatening. Let's hope we're not going to get more rain. Another left-hander. Oof. Going to go over those zebra crossings. They are very, very slippy indeed, glacial almost on the top surface. 3 riders then trying to go away. Holland anxious to get on with it. Beltman. France also there keen. Marcel chasing group being led by the Gassport team. Gassport team that's got Luperini, Bononomi, Capoletto, Pegoraro, Prenalato and Zocca. The only rider they've lost out of that Gassport team actually is Pia Sundstedt from Finland, and she is one of the top riders on the World Cup and a regular stage winner in things like the Giro and the Hewlett-Packard, and she'll be one of the strong contenders when they get to Sydney. So it's quite amazing that Sundstedt decided to climb off. To repeat my earlier comment, Gassport have got 2 stage victories to their credit. Gabriella Prenalato on stage 3, Alessandra Capellotto on stage 12. Top team for stage victories is the team of Alfa Lum, and the Alfa Lum team with 5 stage victories to their credit. So inevitably another breakaway trying to develop. This is Vera Holfeld riding on the Aca Duo Olorina team. They are the leaders in the team competition. This is the team that's got the Polak-Vachute sisters and Zabarova in, so if she can get a gap and those team members can get to the head of the main field, they can blunt or slow the pace down and allow this competitor to try and get away. But immediately you see there's a reaction. Looks like the Gassport team have reacted in the blue, trying to bridge the gap all the time. The French speaker there informing the crowds what is going on, but you can see yourself, can't you, that they've all come back together, and those roads are wet and the sky is looking darker. So it looks like we're going to have some more rain before the finish here. All back together. Who is going to take the victor's spoils here then on the final stage? Red jersey sitting right at the front there. And that's the leader of the intermediate sprint competition, Rasa Polak-Vachute from the Aca Duo Olorina team. And at the moment, they're all content to let her continue. She's got 2 of her teammates, you see, just behind. 3 of the same squad in perfect linear formation here, right at the head of the main peloton. Small in size, isn't she there, but she's going well. Still anybody's stage, isn't it? They're virtually all left in the shake-up. Pity we didn't get another shot of the faller to see whether she recovered. We'll never know. Rasa Polak-Vachute at the front. Her teammates sitting 2nd and 3rd. This is the squad of Aca Duo Olorina. Doing a fine team job as well. They are at the head of affairs here. Just wondering who they're trying to set this up then for the sprint. Zabarova is more of a time trialer, so presumably it's got to be for Polak-Vachute, the leader on that intermediate sprint competition. That's of course if they can still stay ahead in the closing stage. Excuse me, I'll give you a little push, go to the front. Now then, look at this. They're all lined out now, aren't they? This is a real big effort by the Aca Duo Olorina team, and the tempo is being lifted all the time by them. really do ride with tremendous professional approach. The women's circuit at the highest level is just like the professionals. They start at the beginning of the season and ride all over the world in the different events. 3 major tours. They have the World Championship, they have the World Cup just the same. And these top pros, particularly the Lithuanians, they travel from one country to the other and they're competing all the time. Professional cyclists. Tempo high, as I said, 42 kilometers per hour on this 102 kilometer stage. What's she signaling at there? She's pointing at something. Ah, there we are. So they're directed to the left side. Don't want any crashes now, do we, as we're getting nearer and nearer to the finish. Now then, coming through also is the Italian champion again. Well, she's been aggressive throughout, hasn't she? That's Prenelato. And Prenelato now starting to come through. Look out for the gas team as well, because you can never discount those in the finishing stages. Still looking over her shoulder to see who she's got to lead out. The rider from the Acadua Olorina team. Well, it's building up this, isn't it, to what could be a fine sprint finish. We could also look out for Olga Slusareva. Slusareva has been winning in the intermediate sprint competition. She's been riding very, very powerfully. And Slusareva actually is a world record holder. She's recorded 10.8 for the 200 meters flying at that fast track in Moscow, 10.8. We come to the final kilometer now. They're all still together. Now who's going to get this one then? On the front, leading out is Zocca. I should say Prenelato, the Italian champion. Inside the closing kilometre, can anybody get clear here? Big long line, it's going to be a real tight one this. They are throwing caution to the wind as well on the greasy roads. Nobody's too concerned about it. Oh, you could just see it there, couldn't you? They were wondering, can I lay the bike over a little bit more, but it's too risky, isn't it? So they couldn't, but now they're still all upright and looking for the line, and now we're going to see who's got the guts and the courage to win the final sprint. Looks like the Italian champion starting to come through here, Prenelato, but also taking over the pace setting. That looks like a little bit like Zocca to me, of the gas team, and I think it is. It looks like Zocca's going to come away. If Zocca can win this for the gas team, it'll be their 3rd stage victory. Prenelato's won a stage, Capellato's won a stage, and Zocca has won the final stage here into Paris to make it 3 stage victories for their team. But this is the woman of the race, Somariba. She is the victor in the yellow jersey. Somariba riding for Team Alpha Lum. She held the jersey for 7 stages, and that goes to add onto her 2-stage victories in the Giro d'Italia. So a brilliant overall victory then for Somariba, and I think there's tears almost there for the stage victor. That's Greta Zocca of the gas team coming over the line first to clinch the final stage of 102 kilometres here in Paris. Well, the King of the Mountains, nobody was going to deny her that. She's from France. There's her coach, Cyril Guimont. He was a fine pro, wasn't he? And that's Séverine Desbuis from France, the King of the Mountains, and she looks really pleased. The world champion, Edita Pukinskaita, who will have to be content with 2nd in this event. And remember, there was a little bit of friction, I feel, between Somariba and Pukinskaita early on. There's confirmation of the final stage victory. Greta Zocca, the winner. 2 hours, 26 minutes, 14 seconds. And the caption confirms the rest of the places. Overall, it was a win for Samariba of Spain, riding on the Alpha Lum team. The world champion, Booking Sky, coming in second at 35 seconds. And there they are, proudly standing on the podium after 2 weeks of racing and 1,315 kilometres. The overall victor is Samariba, the Spanish ace, riding for Team Alpalum. A teammate second, Edita Pukinsky, to the world champion, and third, Geraldine Lohengut from France. The first three then in the Grand Boucle, finishing here in Paris. Hope you enjoyed our coverage here on Eurosport. Stay tuned. At the end of the week, we'll be covering the Vuelta in its entirety. From me, Hugh Porter, it's goodbye for now.